He didn't.
Yes, he did.
Yes, he did. The Chronicle had a very interesting article by John Shea about the new schedule for baseball, which is due to be out sometime. Usually it's late July. Because the A's will be co-tenants with the River Cats at Sutter Health Park, they're also going to use the same field, which is the farm team of the San Francisco Giants. But they have to adhere to Pacific Coast League scheduling to fit their 81 games in. This is becoming a major logistical ordeal, Jason, because baseball schedules and Pacific Coast League schedules are not the same format. Generally, the River Cats play one team per week in a 6-game series with Monday set aside as a travel day. 1 week at home, the next on the road. Now, the A's will need to mirror that, but play in Sacramento, obviously, when the Cats are on the road, vice versa. I do not believe there will be any setups. I've not heard anything about them playing 2 games in one day on the field. I imagine that's not going to happen. Now, with the A's, it's not uncommon for them to open a homestand or a road trip on a Friday, but now pretty much every homestand or trip has to begin on a Monday or Tuesday. So what that means is you have 29 other teams in baseball that have to cater to what the A's are doing because John Fisher wanted to leave the Coliseum where scheduling would have been routine and come up to Sacramento, where the scheduling now becomes complex, and we haven't even gotten to the heat or the upgraded facilities or the need to upgrade. So they're trying to schedule as many night games as possible for obvious reasons in Sacramento, but they can't avoid day games. In fact, all Sunday day games or home games will have to be in the day, likely beginning at 1:05, because like every other team, the A's have to adhere to MLB's exclusive network broadcast window on Sundays, which calls for all Sunday games. They all have to start prior to 1:15, except for Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN. That's part of the contract. There's also going to be day games during the week in Sacramento. And there's something called the 2:30 rule, Jason. Bear with me here. I know there's a lot of numbers. If one of the teams travels at least 2.5 hours, that's flight time, and plays the following day, there's a formula that determines the latest a game can start. You subtract the duration of the travel beyond 2.5 hours from 7 p.m. So in the case of the A's, for the sake of consistency, weekday day games are expected to begin at 12:35. They're expecting a lot of complaints. It's been, as we all know, well over 100 degrees this week. I think it was like 112 yesterday, 114. And they're playing on artificial turf. You're going to have both the home team and the road teams now either sharing facilities that are already minor league or having their own facilities put together with these improvements. And they're playing on turf. This will be, on one hand, the 6th Major League Baseball field that will be playing on turf. They're not alone, but the difference is every other place that has turf also has a roof,
right,
or a retractable roof. But you have to
put a big tarp over the top,
which would cool everything down.
Yes.
At least 156 games will be played on this field next year. 81 for the A's, 75 for the River Cats. By the way, it was 75 degrees in Oakland yesterday. The Chronicle asked the Players Association about the concern level of playing in extreme heat on turf in a non-domed facility. A union spokesperson said, quote, "The Players Association is currently discussing a wide range of issues with the league, including playing surface conditions and game times, with the intention of scheduling as many games as possible at night. Our priority is to ensure the players' health, safety, and other rights are prioritized." So the A's plan soon to announce 2025 ticket prices that they say will be competitive and consistent with MLB pricing. Capacity will be 14,000. Remember, the A's will simply call themselves the A's or the Athletics. They will not have Sacramento on their jersey. There is an option for a 4th season in 2028. And I want to clear up something I did on social media yesterday. You know, there were several reports and I, amongst others, followed those reports that said that the A's were coming up here rent free. Got some info on that a couple of days ago. So apparently the A's and the Kings, or River Cats, will operate on what's like a revenue and expense sharing agreement. So the A's are in fact paying and contributing to costs for the upcoming season. And I don't know what the split is, but they will share costs, which is a de facto rent charge, for lack of a better term, as far as and that charge is going to be a percentage of revenues. I know it gets nerdy, but the A's are contributing something. Yeah. They're not just getting a free ride. So, Jason, again, what I don't want it to be misconstrued, at least for me, is that I think Vivek's dumb and this whole thing is stupid and, they're evil, twisted people. I know what Vivek's trying to do, and I appreciate what he's trying to do. He's trying to bring Major League Sports to Sacramento. My issues from the beginning have been twofold. One, which is a very arguable position. I acknowledge that, which is it has to do with our relocation with the Kings, and I just don't like the look. The response to that is, yeah, but if the A's are already leaving Oakland and it's a choice between Vegas, Sacramento, and Salt Lake, don't you want them in Sacramento? The answer is yes. We just don't know. And the problem, and the thing I continually bring up is the Maloofs were gone. The Maloofs went to Anaheim, Honda Center. City Council and the Honda Center approved all the improvements. Remember, that was done. The A's the Kings were going to go to Vegas. The Kings were going to go to Virginia City. The Kings, of course, were going to go to Seattle. And at every point, it was blocked until eventually the Maloofs did what they were not going to do, which was sell the team. So for me, I apply that to Fisher and say, I'd like to see him blocked everywhere. People debating that would say, yeah, but the difference, Dave, is that the Kings were never approved for relocation. The A's have been approved for relocation. So you're talking apples and oranges. I think we're talking apples, and I think we're talking Granny Smith and Macintosh apples here, but I get the argument. I do. My issue has been from the jump, other than the fact that I don't like the idea of being the recipient. It's just, you're going to have John Fisher here running a team that we have no reason to believe is not going to be perpetually underfunded and losing. You're going to have 14,000 tickets sold, and a lot of these people by year 2 are going to be dressed up as empty seats. This town has always been able to support a losing team, obviously, Kings fans. But beyond the weather issues and the fact that it's climate controlled in an arena, the Kings weren't successful, but they were trying to be. They just sucked at it. The A's are purposely selling off. Imagine how the Kings would have been supported here had Chris Webber and Peja and every great player we had been sold off.
Yeah.
And I'm taking up this whole segment here, Jason. I want to stretch this over a little bit here because I know you have a lot to say. I just don't like the association. Yeah. And I think ultimately the idea of making this a tryout, showcasing Sacramento as an MLB destination, which again, I don't think is happening because the Giants have too much control. They'll never approve it. But beyond that, I think it's going to black eye Sacramento. I think Sacramento is wrongly going to have a reputation as a team that can't even fill 14,000 seats when it's 110 and 130 on the field. And you've got 3/4 of the stadium gone because everybody's pissed that the A's are 12-97. And now it's going to unfairly paint us. Last thing I will say, go back and look at attendance. For all we talk about, Kings fans are the best, and they are, and they support this team through thick and thin, and they do. Go back and look at the Maloof years towards the end, and go back and look at Kings attendance. Bottom 5. I'm old enough to remember other fans from other markets saying, we deserve to lose our team. Look at the attendance. And we would say the only reason the attendance is this bad is because the Maloofs are trying to move the team. Why would you not think that's going to transfer over to John Fisher and the A's, except it's 10 times worse than the Maloofs? We only get him for 3 or 4 years, and he's gutted the team every year. Of course we're not going to support that eventually. Of course we're not. We didn't with the Kings. Right. We didn't support them. But it wasn't on us. It was because the Maloofs sucked, and we were showing them with our money that we didn't sit giving us a black eye. Jason, next segment's yours on this too. There's a lot to talk about. We'll move who's hot, who's not to 9 o'clock. We'll take or maybe we won't. Chris, just give me the rolled eye. We'll get your thoughts at the top, and then we'll finish with that right after this.